Hi guys, it's Mrs. Spiro. So we're on our, actually it's the second to the, I know this is the end of this chapter, but we are at the end of this chapter, but I have one more thing to show you besides this lesson. So let's go ahead and jump to this lessons. This very specific thing about this is really, it's the difference of squares. So I want you to kind of box that off because that's really what we're talking about. And you really need to know your square root key. If you know your perfect squares, this is going to be even better. So two things. Differences means subtracting only. And then the squares is that square root. Okay, so let's kind of go through our list of perfect squares, because if you know them, it's even better. So like 1 squared equals 1, 2 squared, 4, 3 squared, 9, 4 squared, 16, 5 squared, 25, 6 squared, 36, 7 squared, 49, 8 squared, 64, 9 squared, 81, 10 squared, 100, 11 squared, 121, 12 squared, 144, 13 squared, 169, 14 squared is the one I can never remember, 15 squared, as we're going up here, I am using my calculator. Usually we go up to 16 squared, so let's grab the calculator. Make sure you know how to do these. So 14 caret key 2, using the caret key, so that was 196. 15 squared is 225, and then 16 squared is 256. All right, so let's just kind of review what the square root key is. So if I do the square root of 256, I should get 16. So these are my bases. So let's show you on the calculator so you know how to do that. You have to hit the second key, and it's this one and not this one. So make sure you're using the correct one. So it's not the caret key, it's the squared one. So it looks like this. We'll put 256 in, and you should get back to that base of 16. Okay, so let's go. So to factor these, first of all, they have to be minus. Have to be minus only. I said that up above, but it doesn't hurt to say that again. Okay, so basically what you're going to do is you're going to take the square root of that and the square root of that. The square root of m squared is m. So this is what these are going to look like. And the square root of this is why this is important. You're not including the negative because we are putting the minus. One's going to be a positive and one's going to be a negative. So we have a positive, plus, and a minus on each one of these. And I'm going to show you why. And this will help you remember. So the square root of 64 is 8. Okay, so if I multiply these together, I should get a negative 64. That's the key. So you're going to have a plus and a minus. But these have to be minus only. That makes sense. Okay, let's try the next one. Square root of this, square root of that. So parentheses, plus, minus. Square root of 16 is 4. Square root of y squared is y. So 4y on both of these. Square root of 81 is 9. The end. Let's try this one. Plus, minus. Square root of 25 is 5a. 5a. And this square root of 36, up here if you look, it is 6. Or use your calculator. And that's my final answer. So if you would do like that distributing through here, you would end up with this answer, this solution. This is just a shortcut, so you don't have to do all of that to get to here. So, uh-oh, what's wrong with here? No go. No go because of addition. This one, this is fine, but is this a perfect square? This is not a perfect square. So I can't do this one either. So that's no, no. Okay, questions? Okay, so here we're going to do a couple of different things. So we're going to factor these out first. So what goes into both of these? Hopefully you can see it's a 3 and a b. So I'm going to factor out that 3b. So when I do so, I end up with b squared minus 9. This is a perfect square. This is a perfect square. So now I need to rewrite this. So I'm going to take the square root of this guy and this guy. So 3b times b plus 3 and b minus 3. The square root of 9 is 3. This is my final answer. Okay, so no perfect squares here, but I can factor out a 5 here, 5x actually. So let's take out a 5x. So if I take out a 5x, I'm left with an x squared minus 4. Is this a perfect square? Yes. Is this a perfect square? Yes. So let's take the square root of this and this. So that 5x stays, and it's x plus 2, x minus 2. Square root of 4 is 2, so remember the plus and the minus. Okay, finding zeros. I do want to go through this with you a little bit. It's important to find those zeros so you're going to solve. So what goes into, these are both perfect squares now that I'm looking at it. I can do the square root of this and the square root of that. So when you're doing zeros, we're going to bring this all the way down first, all the way down here. Sorry, loop to loop. So you're going to set each term equal to 0 and solve. Okay, so that's a last step. Okay, so here we go. Perfect square, I know that because I know my perfect squares, and you can always look at that list or use your calculator. So this becomes 5b plus 11, 5b minus 11. Since we're finding zeros, we need to set each one of these equal to 0. This one I'm solving for b, so I'm going to subtract 11. 5b is equal to negative 11. Divide by 5, divide by 5. So b is equal to a negative 11 fifths. And I can leave it like that, or I can get a decimal, but usually leaving it in this form is good enough. So we'll just keep it simple. This one, add 11 to both sides. So 5b equals 11. Divide by 5, so b is equal to 11 fifths. So the only difference, one was positive and one was negative. This one looks like it's a little more complicated. So first of all, they're not perfect squares, but is there something I can take out of here, like a GCF? And the answer is yes, it's just 2b. Both of them can be divided by 2. So 48 divided by 2, just want to double check I'm right. 98 divided by 2 is 49. So oops, I don't want to do that. I need to bring my 2b out. And then put my 49b squared minus 100 equals 0. Now I have a perfect square. 2b square root of 49 is 7b. Square root of 100 is 10. So it's 7b plus and 7b minus. Okay, this time I have 3 different terms that I need to set equal to 0. So I have the 2b equals 0, 7b plus 10 equals 0, 7b minus 10 equals 0. Divide by 2. In my calculator, always do this. Don't assume you know what the heck it is. 0 divided by 2 is 0. One solution. Subtract 10. 7b is equal to negative 10. Divide by 7. b is equal to negative 10 sevenths. Next solution. Lastly, you might have figured this out, but this is going to be a positive 10 sevenths. And those are my 3 solutions. So what does that mean? So that means when this is graphed, it's going to hit my x at 0. It's going to hit it at a negative 10 sevenths. What is that? Probably over here a little bit. And this is a positive. So what this graph is probably doing is doing this number. All right. I think that is it. Actually, I think we've covered everything. So we're good to go. Your test will be right around the corner.